How do we sell without shrinking? How do we sell with confidence? How do we sell specifically as women? So many people hide this part of their business. They may be very visible on video, or they may be very visible with the value that they show up with. They may be very visible with their content, but their offers take a back seat. Their offers don't get their time in the spotlight. Their offers aren't getting the attention because they're not getting the visibility and the repetitiveness that they need to have in order to create results from said offer. So we want to make sure that we are always focusing on our offers. And I'm going to talk today about how you can stop shrinking, how you can talk about your offers confidently, right? And how that is going to support you in your business, support your bottom line, all of those things, which at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that's what everyone wants more of, right? Okay. So most women don't struggle with selling. They struggle with the energy shift when they sell. I'm going to give you a great example. So I realized when I would do like a masterclass or something that when I got to the offer or whatever the invitation was, I would speed through it. I would be like, make sure you check out Omni, blah, 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 blah. Like it was so fast. And then like, oh, we're at the Q&A. I couldn't hold my energy through the selling. Like I was very confident and on it and very strong, right, in my delivery of the value of the masterclass. And then all of a sudden, we shift into the whole reason, right, to do a masterclass, which is to invite to the next thing. And I froze. I talked really fast. It was like, hurry up and let's get this over with, right? And so my energy was not the same through that. And here's why I know people want to hear about your offer. I was doing a masterclass years ago, and I said at the beginning of the masterclass, I said, I'm going to teach you about XYZ, whatever it was about. And then I'm going to invite you to the next thing. And then we're going to have a Q&A. So I prepared them for what was going to happen. Well, I get through the presentation and I didn't create a slide. Today I create a slide so I don't forget this. And I didn't create a slide for the offer. And I honestly totally forgot. I was so in the zone of sharing the value that I forgot to make the offer. Okay. So we get to the Q&A and somebody puts in the chat, what's the next thing? I want to hear about the offer. And I was like, mind blown. And then a couple other people commented and said, I want to know about the offer too. So a lot of times we don't talk about the offer because we think that nobody wants to hear it, but they actually do. Everybody wants to be invited, right? So why are we missing out on this part that is going to create the most massive transformation for our person? So the moment the offer starts, if your voice gets really fast or really high pitched, like, oh my God, I'm going to tell you, right? Like, and your confidence tanks or drops, you lose your audience because there's such a shift in the conversation where you go from very strong and solid into really wishy-washy with the offer, right? And so we want to make sure that we're not doing that. But also, if you're doing something like a masterclass, tell your audience, I'm going to invite you to the next thing, because then they're prepared. Then they want to know, right? They want to know what's next. Because if they're spending, let's say, an hour time with you in something like a masterclass, first of all, you're asking them, I don't care if it's free, you're asking them to give up the most precious thing that they have that they can't get back. And that is their time. So number one, we're not going to waste their time. But number two, they are there for a reason. They truly want to learn about said thing, right? Okay. So when we're talking about an offer, our audience will notice a shift even before we finish our sentence. Now, they're not saying, oh, I just noticed she just started talking differently, or she started talking really fast about her offer. They don't say that. They just don't feel connected to the conversation, right? Whereas we have this serving voice that teaches and shares and support, and it's this knowing, and it's very solid and it's very strong, right? And then we go to the selling voice and we try to speed it up and talk high pitched and talk differently. And it's a big disconnect. So we want to make sure that we're not like making this big change when we go from the conversation of where I'm teaching to where I'm making the offer, right? Selling is not a switch. It shouldn't be like, oh, let me put my selling hat on. Let me put my selling hat on because I'm going to sell you now. That's not what we want to do. We want to stay solid, just like we did in our confidence and our knowledge of what we know, also into the invitation, right? It's a seamless continuation of what you're already leading them towards. It's just that when we make the offer, it's a deeper conversation, right? It is I can support you and serve you so much more in this container because we're going to go so much deeper. This hour was great together, right? If you're doing like a masterclass or something, or this 15-minute live video was great, but this next thing is going to take you to the next level. I heard a quote one time, and I'm probably going to screw it up, but it was like, salespeople bring more happiness to the world than anybody else. And back in 2020, I have friends who were in the car industry, and they were talking about how the sales of cars went up. And I was like, why? And he said, well, people were sitting at home, right? They were sitting at home all this time, and they just wanted something new. They just wanted something exciting. They just wanted to change. And so many people didn't need a new car, but they wanted one, and it made them feel really good. So the fact that you don't think that what you have to offer can make somebody happy is a disconnect. The fact that you have something you can offer that you feel like can't change somebody's life is a disconnect. You have an offer and you feel like it can't create ripples of change in somebody's life is the disconnect. Because I believe if you truly thought that what you did was life-changing, even if it's a ripple effect of that, you could not shut up about it. If you really saw the transformation that was available to your audience, you're not going to hold back because it's that important, and the conviction is so deep and thick that you can't not talk about it, right? Your offer is the most generous thing, the most generous invitation that you can give them. They don't have to accept. People say no all the time. If you invite me anywhere after 8 o'clock, I'm probably going to say no. However, I still want you to ask me. Please ask me. I want to feel like I'm included, even if I'm going to tell you no. There's like all these memes that go around on social media that's like, I want to be asked, but I'm probably going to tell you no. But don't forget to ask me, even if I say no, right? The most magnetic invitation, I'm not going to call this a pitch. I'm not going to call this sales pitch, right? The most magnetic invitation is just certainty with direction, meaning I'm saying to you, I have an amazing program. It is called the Sold Out AF Framework. And I know it is going to take your offers to the next level. Because if you think you've been selling them now, wait until you go through this program. Make sure you check out the link in the comments. Done. Versus, I have this offer. It's called the Sold Out AF Framework. Make sure you check it out. It's in the link. Or the link is in the comments. That's a totally different energy, right? It doesn't feel solid. And people want to buy from people who are solid in what they do and they believe in their offers. I'm not saying you can't be nervous. I'm nervous all the time. But work on your conversation and work on your voice and work on the way that you say it. Okay? Most of the time, they don't need more information. They just need permission to trust themselves. And they can't trust themselves to say yes to the offer if they don't feel your conviction when you talk about the offer. Right? Which goes something like this. I am so tired of seeing women hide their offers because they know deep down inside they could be life-changing, but they're not owning it. They're not owning the power of their offer, the life-changing opportunities of their offer, and the ripple effects of their offer. And it's got to stop. You've got to stop hiding your offers. You've got to stop allowing them to not get the spotlight that they deserve. And you've, for God's sake, got to stop saying, I've talked about my offer 3 times and nobody bought. 3 times is not enough. It's not enough. Okay? If you dilute your energy when you sell, there's a disconnect. They may not notice it, but there is a disconnect in trust, and they may not buy. You also want to be very clear. You want to be very bold. And again, you want to stay in that knowing and that belief all the way through the conversation. So let's recap. If your energy drops when you make the offer, people are going to feel it. So we want to stay solid in that. Selling is just a continuation of service. It's just, let me help you on a deeper level. Let's go deeper on this. Let's create more close proximity so I can help you in more of a personalized fashion, right? And they don't need a pitch to buy from you. They need your certainty. They need your knowledge. They need your conviction. They need your conviction. So where do you get to improve when it comes to selling? Specifically, when you're on video, specifically in a masterclass, during a challenge, during a free week of trainings, during a live video, during a reel or TikTok. Where is the energy waning and not staying solid throughout the conversation? And where do you get to improve and work on this? I hope that you focus on this, because again, we can say, I wish I was better at selling. I wish I was better at creating additional revenue opportunities for my business. But if we don't take the time to actually do it, right? You only get better at things when you do them. So the more you practice, the more you do it, the more you're going to sell, and the better you're going to get. And the more evenly you're going to be able to keep that standard of energy that you have when you show up and you pour your heart out and your conviction out into your audience of what you do and what your hope and goal for is for them.